Hello, everyone. I will start with some good news. Right after me, there will be lunch break. Okay, so bear with me. I'm very happy to be here. It's always good to come back to Greece, meet friends, colleagues, industry experts. My name is Gilad Zahavi. I'm the VP for Threat Intelligence at Cognyte, and I will be focusing today on accelerating the threat intelligence with AI. Before I start, a few words about Cognyte, which is a global security intelligence vendor, publicly traded on NASDAQ with over 1,600 employees worldwide, working in over 100 countries and serving hundreds of customers worldwide. I will start with some view of the global threat landscape as we see it based on data that was collected and analyzed by our AI-driven threat intelligence tool. You can see on the left-hand side the top targeted countries or regions. So as usual, the US is one of the main prime targeted countries worldwide. What we also see is that how geopolitical conflicts impact the cyber warfare. So we see Europe as a continent, as a region, which is highly targeted. We see India. This is due to the escalation that was between Pakistan and India a few months back. And we see, of course, Russia. This is in light of the war in the Ukraine. On the right-hand side, we see the top targeted industries. So the top 5 are technology, government, financial, healthcare, and telecom, but then all the rest are also prime targets by different tech groups. If we zoom in to have a sneak peek to what's happening in the Greek market in terms of threats, so we have some interesting insights. First, based on our data that we analyzed throughout 2025, we saw an increase in ransomware attacks, a 40% increase of ransomware attacks year over year. You can see the names of the leading ransomware attack groups. We have here Akira, INC Ransom, and Global. This is the name of one of the most recently discovered ransomware gangs. But we also see a decrease in the number of ads selling compromised credentials on the on black marketplaces, on the darknet. Okay, so we saw a decrease of 50% of ads selling compromised data, leaked data of Greek users, but still the number, the volume of records being leaked online every month is quite big. It's about 2,000 compromised credentials, emails with the username, with the password that are leaked online. I can also share with you that 30% out of the 2,000 are compromised credentials of the public sector, of government or defense type of entities. Here we also see that the most targeted industries are government or defense, technology, transportation, education, energy, banks, and healthcare. And the most active attack groups, the list goes on, but the most active attack groups are APT28, which is a Russia-affiliated nation-state group, Akira, which is a ransomware group, Killnet, which is a pro-Russia activist group that has been targeting EU member states throughout the past 2 or 3 years, and another cybercriminal group. As for the exploited vulnerabilities, we see here several vulnerabilities. All of them are associated with the Roundcube webmail. The interesting part here is that many of those groups that we're seeing, either APT groups, nation-state groups, cybercrime groups, or activists, they use what we call in the industry one-day vulnerabilities. So those are vulnerabilities that were already disclosed, but they still exploit them to target and impact different organizations that haven't patched those vulnerabilities. So what we've seen so far basically leads us to the importance of employing or including or consuming threat intelligence. First, organizations worldwide need today threat intelligence to be much more proactive. So we see the shift from reactive approach to a much more proactive approach to stop attacks basically before they escalate. You also want to be one step ahead of the attackers. You want to have strategic insights about the global threat landscape, or at least the industry threat landscape, the industry that the organization is part of. Then you want to understand the bigger picture. You want to understand trends in the market. You want to understand the different attack vectors and how they change. For example, today, with the acceleration of AI being adopted also by threat actors, we see an increase in phishing attacks, in social engineering, impersonation attacks. So you want to identify those type of trends and shift in the attack vector of threat actors. Risk mitigation goes without saying, reduce exposure to unknown threats and also to make much more informed decisions that are data-driven. So you want to, as an example, you want to prioritize all the patch management activities based on real data, contextualized data about exploits being shared, sold, used by different attack groups. I'm responsible for the product management and development of Luminar, which is Cognyte, AI-powered external threat intelligence solution. It's a multi-tenant, cloud-based SaaS solution that basically converge three market segments that we see today. One is CTI, which is cyber threat intelligence. The second one is DRP, which is digital risk protection. And the third one is EASM, external attack surface management. Everything is bundled into one platform with a lot of Gen AI capabilities. So as I said, we have those three market segments within the platform where the CTI is more for technical threat data. So we use our technology to better understand the TTPs, the attack patterns of different attack groups. We use the technology to identify different IOCs, indicators of compromise, and which IOC attacks which industry and which country. The DRP is more related to deep web, dark web, ransomware monitoring, phishing detection, compromised credentials detection, VIP protection. And the EASM is more for identifying the internet-facing infrastructure, identifying exposed servers, misconfigurations, vulnerabilities, and so on. And on top, we also have a global threat research group, which is divided into different areas worldwide that can provide professional premium threat intel services. A core capability or a major investment in our product roadmap is aimed at AI. Already today, and more accurately, in the past 2 years, we already developed 4 main functionalities or capabilities leveraging Gen AI technologies. We were also recognized by Gartner as one of the first companies, vendors worldwide with this type of technology. One capability was for automated risk scoring and prioritization, because we know there is an overload of data. The second one is a daily updated threat intel feed that is completely analyzed and produced by a Gen AI engine to provide much more context about different types of attacks. The third capability is for threat classification, which is based on 6 related threat vectors. So the AI can go over all the collected data and classify and triage the data based on the specific attack pattern and TTP of the attack group. And finally, a global threat landscape dashboard that provides to CISOs or security leaders a very good visibility to what's happening on the global threat landscape. So what ransomware groups are targeting now, with which vulnerabilities. So there are different ways to segment, filter, and operationalize the data. What I prepared for this session is a very interesting case study. The full analysis of data, starting from the collection or detection of the threat, analyzing the data set that was captured, and understanding and scoping the threat was done by Luminar and the technology. So we started on October 3rd, a few weeks ago, where an anonymous user named Kitten Busters leaked on a GitHub repository a data set or a few data sets that allegedly belong to APT35. APT35 is an Iranian nation-state APT group. The data, based on our analysis, and again, also here to analyze all the data, all the folders, many documents also in Farsi. We use, of course, AI capabilities and also the expertise of our threat research global group. So the data included a list of thousands of organizations worldwide that were targeted by APT35 between 2022 and 2024 using a series of 3 vulnerabilities in Microsoft Exchange server. Those are later on named as proxy shell vulnerabilities. So it's 3 vulnerabilities that were discovered in late 2021. And immediately, if you remember, we said that most of the attack groups targeting also Greece are using one-day vulnerabilities. So this is also a good example of how APT35 exploited very quickly a 0-day vulnerability that was disclosed. And a few weeks later, they started to launch attacks against different targets worldwide. You can see on at the picture here, some of the folders, and there was a dedicated folder for Greece that included around 250 organizations in Greece that were targeted or were about to be targeted by this group specifically. This data was, of course, shared by us with relevant agencies in the country. You can see here it's blurred, of course, but this is a partial list of all organizations that were targeted by the group. Now, as an analyst, the next step would be to better understand who APT35 is. So you can see here an anatomy of the group. They are also named Charming Kitten by different industry vendors. So they are originally from Iran. Their motivation is, of course, cyber espionage. Their main targeted regions or countries are the US, the Middle East, and Europe, as we saw the example in the previous slide. Their main targeted industries are government and defense, but also education. So they target a lot different universities, researchers in those countries, telecom, technology, and energy with different TTPs or attack techniques. So phishing or targeted phishing, spear phishing, compromised credentials, where they use the leaked email accounts or compromised email accounts to basically penetrate into the organization itself, to the victims network. Command and control, of course, to exfiltrate data. This is what they also did in Israel when they targeted hospitals in the past year. And as we saw, one-day vulnerabilities. And here you see also a list of the vulnerabilities. So this type of pinpointing relevant data points to an APT group will take an analyst hours, if not days, if not weeks, to very quickly understand what are the vulnerabilities, what are the TTPs, what is the motivation behind the attacks, who is targeted, in which region. What we did to basically build this type of profile is using one of the new capabilities that we have, which is the AI co-pilot assistant or chatbot within Luminar. So it's based on all the data in Luminar. What you can see is just a question that I asked the AI co-pilot chatbot of Luminar to provide a detailed summary for APT35, which is based on our proprietary knowledge base, based on evidence of real-life attacks of the group. And within 15 seconds, we got a full profile of the group, which is based on attacks that happened worldwide. So the key benefits of AI for modern CTI, and this is not just about Luminar, because again, throughout the day we heard how AI can help us in different fields. You saw what we do within Luminar, how we leverage AI to try and be one step ahead with the cyber adversaries of the world. So one key benefit is, of course, the enhanced correlation and pattern discovery, the fact that you can leverage AI to understand the vulnerabilities and exploits that are used by an attack group or a threat actor, the correlation between different attacks happening worldwide in different regions, targeting different industries. So now it can take seconds and not hours or days. Another key benefit is the contextualization, to provide context to a specific attack. So it's not just a piece of information. You can build a full intelligence picture by using AI capabilities and AI technologies. And of course, you can reduce the number of false positives that you have. Automated threat reporting, one of the key elements or the key tasks for threat intel users is, of course, to produce reports, to produce intelligence or executive briefs. So you just saw a very quick summary or report for an entire group. So this is, of course, something that can help and basically reduce the manual work and free up time for analysts to focus on critical tasks. And of course, the cost efficiency, goes again without saying. So this is what I wanted to share with you today in my brief presentation. If you have questions, go ahead. If not, you can also approach me during the lunch break. Thank you very much.